So hello, welcome to Roll With It. It's Chris and Nate once again. I guess we're going to start off today by talking about the daily inspiration. And for my inspiration, I found inspiration in the animal I adopted. His name is Lazarus. This is him. And I'm going to be talking about pets as an inspiration to D&D. I mean, we all know that everyone always wants an animal for their character, especially a lot of rangers. And those of you with pets should be able to kind of pull inspiration from your furry babies. So an example would be my dog Lazarus. When he knows, as I'm walking him, he'll stay by my side no matter what. He'll go off on an adventure and I'll have to just whistle to him and he'll come to me. But today I decided to walk him and I had food in my pocket, and the entire time he kept on hopping. Like, he wasn't just regular just walking as he normally does. He was actually like trotting like a horse. And then he would get up occasionally, stand on his two hind legs and kind of hop and follow me around to get my attention, to get the food from me. This is my dog. This is who he is. And small things like that's awesome. So when I kind of make a pet character design for my characters and my session right now, I hope to bring in that quirkiness in, so it kind of brings the pet to life. And I'm sure many of you guys have animals and other things in your life that you can use to kind of build inspiration.
Yeah, they all have their own little personalities. I know my cat Joy has definitely been an inspiration. We were catless for a while, and I think that's kind of made me even more enthusiastic with, like, I appreciate her more for not having a pet for a while, and I found myself observing her a lot. And so I've got this character we talked about, I think in last episode, who shape changes, and she's a cat. And I took a lot of inspiration from her for the things a cat does when my character's in cat form. So they definitely provide a lot of inspiration and quirks and personality bits that are fun to incorporate in the game.
Yeah, Ari, you do a really good job too. I've noticed a lot lately. I mean, a lot of them I see, because I own two cats, so I see a lot of their characters and quirkiness added to it.
Thank you. That's always fun to play. It's funny because I think most people who know me, I've always been this horse person, but cats have always been in my life, and horses have had to come and go because they're pretty expensive and they're a lot more responsibility than your average pet. So I find that the cat is definitely more a part of my day-to-day life, and therefore easier to incorporate.
Take inspiration off of
my character. Yeah, definitely. So I've been listening to some podcasts. I've been listening to Roll Up and Die for a while. A lot of people are familiar with that one. It's a couple of the members of Absolute Tabletop and Alex Gillot, aka Captain Gothnog. But I've recently found a couple podcasts that are new to me, and one that I'm especially liking. The one that I'm really liking a lot is Game Master's Journey, and it's Skywalker Productions, I believe, that puts it out. It's really nicely produced, and it's just a single voice podcast. But this guy is, I think his name is Lek. I don't know if that's his real name, but that's the name he gives on the podcast. He's got like 30 years of gaming experience, and which would have been back in like the 80s probably that he started gaming, and so in the early days of the game. And he gives some I especially enjoyed some of his reviews. He did a really great review on Storm King's Thunder that came out, I believe that was just earlier this week on the 22nd. And then yesterday and today I was listening to his review on Curse of Strahd, and he's really thorough. He spends a lot of time, and he does like a spoiler review too. So he starts with a simple review, and then he gives people a chance to turn off the podcast if they're a player, so it doesn't ruin it for them. And then he jumps into more in depth for the GMs, and so it's really really interesting. And I find that anytime I'm listening to podcasts, regardless of the content, they just tend to fuel my imagination and inspire me. And so I found myself this week like coming home and working on this campaign that Nate's been encouraging me to run for our group. So I mostly consider myself a player. We've talked about that before, but definitely feeling more inspired to go ahead and try to run some things. And this will be my first attempt at um, my own material. So we'll see how it goes. But it's there's just something about listening to people talk about gaming that just gets me going off on a tangent and thinking about my own game. And sometimes it's the specific things they're talking about, and sometimes it's just the fact that they're talking about gaming.
It's actually really exciting. I'm especially excited for your games play. But what specific things are they talking about that's inspiring you inside the videos?
So Roll Up and Die in particular does some really great. They always do these ideas you can steal. So if you're like me and you kind of have trouble coming up with your own ideas, that's a great podcast to listen to because they give you specifics and they just say, hey, you guys, this is for you to steal. Just give us credit. And they've done some really great stuff. They did an episode on taverns, that they had this really cool tavern, and there was one they did on traps that got me really thinking about my game and trying to figure out how I could use, there was this trap that they came up with, and I kind of came up with my own variation of it. I haven't figured out how I'm going to use it in the game yet, but that's definitely something that gets me going. They also did one on, well, they've done so many, but they did one on guilds that was pretty interesting that really got me thinking about, I'm designing this, this first session at least, and probably the first few sessions of this campaign I'm doing, we're going to be in this big metropolis, and there's got to be some guilds there. So it got me really thinking about, well, where are they going to hang out in the city, and how are people going to find them? Like the Thieves Guild, it's not like there's going to be a sign that says, Thieves Guild over the building. So it got, it gets me thinking about stuff like that. I don't always get home and get it noted, but sometimes it's things that specific. And then sometimes, like this week, it's just really vague. It's more just, hey, they're talking about gaming, and next thing I know, I'm thinking about the first encounter that I'm going to run for probably you and another of our players. That'll help. I think it'll help bring you guys together without the whole, oh, you meet in a tavern thing. So yeah, kind of that sort of specific stuff.
I just kind of want to throw out there, I think it's really cool that they are, was it Roll Up and Die that did the ideas that you can steal?
Roll Up and Die, yeah, it's one of their segments.
That is really cool they're doing that, because I don't know about you, but I've played with some GMs before that I never quite understood the mentality, and maybe if any of you want to comment about it, how you feel about it, please go ahead. But it seems like a lot of GMs have like this weird phobia that somebody's going to steal their original, I'm going to put in very quotation-y, ideas. Like I was playing with this one guy. He's actually a really, I can put on names, but he's really cool. And he had a very interesting game design, game setup. He was kind of making his own version of D&D. And there's this one island that floated around. And he like made me swear up and down that I wouldn't steal this idea and put it in my world. And it was kind of hard to tell him that I've already took that idea and that there's already a book series I was reading that actually had a floating island, but I kept my mouth shut. And this is an example I can bring up. So, I mean, please, guys, come on, share your ideas, because most likely you probably are stealing something from somebody else's. But I think it's just so cool that Roll Up and Die is actually willing to put out their own ideas out there to help other people to make their games. I mean, that's cool. And making a trap tavern, while I think that'd be bad for business, it might be really cool. It kind of reminds me of this murderer that I know of. This is kind of getting dark. He, something I drew inspiration from one of my games. He was a construction manager, and he ended up helping build this huge hotel. And he kind of knew all the secret passageways, and the hotel was already kind of built very strange too as well. And I think he was the one that actually paid for it to be built. And he built it this way to trap his victims inside the hotel so nobody would know. And it was just this really crazy hotel. And he ended up killing, like, I think it was several people, and just got away with a lot of it until finally they started figuring out that people are going around this area are getting lost and killed. But this is an old story, and it's very vaguely in my mind. But I actually built something like that for one of my games for Halloween. So
Right, that'd be cool. Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty cool that they're that generous, and it's funny you say that because I mean you hear that in everything, right? Like, they say there's no new songs and there's no new there's no new stories. They're all really, boy meets
Usually
girl,
isn't.
that sort of thing. So it is pretty cool, and they do it right off the top of their heads, just right in the session. So it's always really inspiring, and it's a good example of the fact that really anybody can come up with ideas, even me. So it's a little humbling sometimes, but it's also inspiring. It makes you, really get your juices going. And I find a lot of times I'll just have my own variation of it that I think, oh, I would do this. Actually, one thing I got inspiration from that a specific thing was they talked about treasure. And, you don't necessarily just always want to give out, a hoard of cash and, oh, here's a +1 sword and just be real generic or, can't think of the word I want, but, you don't always want to go with those same old things, right? You want to keep it interesting. Otherwise, your PCs after a while are going to be like, oh, okay, some more money, great. And it really got me thinking, and they talked about some different things that might be useful, utensils or, odd items that could be useful to the players that aren't necessarily treasure, in a financial sense, or, gems or weapons. And I did use that when we ran, shout out to Critical Hit Publishing Strange Harvest, which I ran for you guys. And, I had that's how I came up with the idea for that fishing journal. There was like a field journal with fishing tackle and all the fishing holes, because, down the road, I don't know if that really hit the group, but down the road, that's a survival thing that you just got. You just found out where you can find food and got the means to obtain it through the fishing tackle set. So it probably seemed pretty mundane, but it could be pretty handy later. And I definitely got that idea from their topic that day. It was really helpful.
That's kind of funny. I was trying to do the same for our game. I'll kind of give a background. So the adventurers help this fey-like creature, basically this wild elf, help her fix her mother tree, which is basically a tree that just kind of looks over the forest. I know, very generic, mundane. But when they finish the small adventure, instead of just giving them gold or a weapon, they actually gave them, apart from the tree, a little amulet. And it does have some special powers, but I kind of tried making it unique, so that way they could look at the amulet again and be like, oh yeah, it's the time we helped Faye out with this. Or another thing, you guys are going through your first large dungeon right now, and when you guys search the bodies of the orcs, I threw in things like when the orcs had a doll from his son or daughter that he kept with him, or the book that he read, or the journal that he kept. All these things are
Right.
slightly more unique.
Yeah, that doll was a really neat touch. Because so Nate's this like super sympathetic DM to all of his monsters, and he makes us all try to feel guilty for killing them or taking them out, even if they're attacking us. And that definitely was like hey, I'm going to tug on your heartstrings. Here's this doll that was probably belonged to the guy's kid, and and he was taking it for luck or something, But it was a nice touch, and it definitely did make you think about, okay, yeah, so we just had this battle, and I had to kill this enemy but this is still somebody who had a family maybe and has a life and has maybe people who'd be looking for him to come home later. So, you don't want to be totally callous. I think it really helps keep you from getting into murder hobo mode.
Yeah, that's
So,
why I try with you guys. I try stopping you guys because I mean, poor Bolt. Come on, man. He attacked one of the things supposed to be a pet. He totally murder hobo on us.
so, and you hadn't exactly been quiet about that either, about
Yeah,
the
I was
fact that it
quite.
was not supposed to be a an enemy.
Uh,
So,
yeah. The good news is the creature did attack back and take half his health, so I feel like he deserved that.
got what he deserved for sure.
Oh, definitely. Oh man, I completely lost track. Um, so now let's talk about what we are working on. So I'll
What
let you
we're
go first. What are you
okay.
working on?
Well, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm definitely working on this campaign that I'm trying to put together for our online group.
Which I'm very
Um,
excited for. Just want to throw it out there.
I am super looking forward to it too. I'm starting to get excited, even though running games makes me nervous. But yeah, I came up with a first encounter that I hope will kind of help get the ball rolling, and it'll be a little mini adventure, which is something Nate's done with us a lot. I noticed Matt Click did that with Barker the other night too. Did a one-on-one live that I didn't get to watch. I watched a few minutes of it, and then it was just not a good time, so I didn't get to watch it all. But it's pretty cool to see people doing that kind of stuff. And so, anyway, that's what we're going to do. We might get to do that later tonight, we hope. And so I've been working on that. I've also been working on the details of. I haven't been secretive about the fact that I'm doing that they're going to be doing a tournament. So I'm looking forward to that, and I've been working on the particulars for that, and trying to work with some of the players to figure out where we're at with their characters, so that I can make sure that there's something for everybody at this tournament. So that's been in the works. In addition to that, I've been working on trying to get together some folks to play Fiasco, and I found some really great play sets that I'm excited about trying out. And I hope that we'll be able to have something up in Fiasco, hopefully by the end of October. Get at least a live play up of that here on Power Up Gamers.
Which would be
How
awesome.
about you?
Okay. Going back to me. Actually, just really quickly beyond that, if any of you guys are interested, and anybody watches us, which isn't much right now, but we're going. If any of you are interested in actually playing with us, just message and comment. We'll read it, and we could even hopefully throw maybe a surprise guest in. So I'm working on a few things actually, and I just came up with a new idea. Something I thought might be very fun, but this is going to be for our next session. So stay tuned. But one thing I am working on is our game right now, and to kind of expand upon that, our party's going through their first major dungeon, and
It's been really tough so far.
yeah, usually they just blow through monsters because I was kind of experimenting with the group, and I've kind of buffed up my players a little too much. So I started implementing monster tactics, and so I've been working on basically making tougher monsters, not through just buffing up their numbers a whole bunch, which I really just like doing. I've been actually changing the way they work as a team. So there's archers, and there's shield walls, and there's spearmen, but this is still pretty hard to kind of make it challenging for everybody. But I managed to pretty much almost kill one of my players, so I was happy about that. Another thing I'm working on, Monday, Tuesday, I'm going camping in the woods. I haven't posted a video of me doing trail running or hiking or anything yet, but soon I will be. And then also post a video of me doing camping. And as I explained before, I'm going to try making it a little bit humorous and funny, but try to also explain some of the inspiration I get from being out in the woods. And hopefully soon we can also do a few videos, which I'm going to start working on, about monster tactics, kind of more expanding upon that further. Monster ideas, how to expand upon that further, how to make your own monsters, how to use other books and inspiration for monsters, how to do maybe even villain and sub-villain monsters, because I know my team have already came across one villain, the little demi-villain, I guess you want to call him that, and just how to make a very daunting villain that kind of resides over the game. Either be that through environmental, which I have an environmental villain in my game, and also person, which they still have no idea who he is. So
Yeah, we're pretty clueless right now on that
they're
one.
pretty clueless. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they're pretty clueless, but it's fun that way. They're kind of left in
Yeah,
the dark.
yeah.
So as far as things I'm working on, I would say that's it. Uh,
It's cool.
but yeah, I did draw. I draw a little bit of pictures right now for my game though. So I just got inspiration
Excellent.
mid through an inspirational video. um,
So I guess we should move on to news then. So as I already mentioned, Storm King's Thunder just came out. I've heard some pretty good things about it so far. Another really recent release was Adventures in Middle Earth, and I haven't really had a chance to do much more than
oh, that's cool.
hear other people's reviews of this, but Matt Click did an awesome review over on Fistful of Dice the other day on this. It's a pretty in-depth review. He gave it really, he seems to like it a lot. Definitely piqued my interest, and I'm interested in that one. That one apparently does not have any adventures in it. There's no module. It's a supplement, and you have to build your own out of it. So it's great for people, for DMs like Nate, who don't really like to use other people's pre-made adventures, right? That's not your thing. So this
No.
might be something that you would enjoy because it's more how to create the environment.
I will explain why I
Um,
don't like pre-made adventures just really quickly, and it's really fast, and I've heard another DMs explain it. So I find a lot of times supplements aren't made for the group that you have in mind. Sometimes you, especially my games, I'll have wild kind of like group setups. So it just wouldn't, it just doesn't work because it's not, I don't feel like it's targeting the group's characteristics and the group's specialties. That's just the reason why I don't like it. I do take
right,
inspiration off. So carry on.
right. And that's something that so that's another one is I picked up Curse of Strahd, and I'm kind of excited about it because I like vampire stuff, and I'm not super into horror, but I've always been kind of into vampires. But interestingly, the review I heard is that it's a little more sandboxy than other adventures, so it gives you more options. Most of the adventures, from what I've heard, are all pretty much on rails. Like there's one option and you just got to do it. This one apparently gives a little more player license to like make different choices. But unfortunately, the review I heard, and we'll just have to see as I read through it. The review I heard is that it's not great for beginning DMs and inexperienced DMs, which I definitely am. So I'll probably not run this anytime soon. But the other piece of information I got about it is that it's great for pulling inspiration for your own horror games. So we'll see if that turns out to be true. I would definitely like to run from some horror stuff. Every time Halloween rolls around, I'm like, hey, we need to play some Halloween games. So maybe we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, modules can be really great um, for people who are newer DMs and who maybe don't have that creativity to think through a full story arc. So they have that, but then yeah, they can be really railroady and they may not fit what your group wants to play. So there's a lot of pros and cons. So anyway, I picked that up. I'm interested to look through it. I don't know if I'll ever actually run it, but I'm kind of in this mode of I just want to have the books and check them out for myself and see what I think. So I definitely have the Adventures in Middle Earth on my wish list, but I want to wait until they get it in hardcover too, because right now it's just PDF. And I don't know about you, but for me, I really like a printed book. I'd like to be able to sit down at a table with a notebook and take notes if I need to, and take what I need and be able to spread out. And I can't do that if I have to sit at my computer and read it. And I get frustrated if I have to print it. Spend all that money on a book, and then you have to spend money on ink. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I kind of went all over the place there.
Well, I feel like a lot of people agree with you on that one. I still think hardcovers are probably the way to go for most people.
Yeah, there seems to
I
be,
like
I
it.
don't know, it seemed to me there was a split on that when the RPG a day question about it came out. So be interesting to see what our viewers think. If you guys have an opinion, we'd love to hear it. Chime in.
As usual, definitely always love
Uh,
hearing other people's views. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the session.
I think so. I think that's it for this episode of Roll With It. What are we up to? Episode 3, episode 4?
I think it's episode 3, isn't it?
I already
Am I
lost
wrong?
track. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody who tuned in, and as always, we welcome your comments. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and remember to subscribe and share with your friends. And until next time, may your dice roll high.
And the DM's dice roll low.
Bye.